Recording. Okay, so here we are today. I am Jordy Lowe. This is my co-host, Patty Kay.
Hello.
And we are here with the absolutely incredibly amazing Kevin Knebl.
You need to get out more.
No, I do not. I'm so excited because, this is really a space for us to have heart-to-heart conversations with inspiring people from around the world. And when we wanted to do this, I was like, oh my God, I want Kevin on here so badly, because I can't even remember the first time I met you. Whenever you came up to BC for Jonathan's first event.
Probably about 8 years ago.
Which is probably about 8 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, I love him. And then you came again.
Yep. And
I have to say, I was absolutely floored because I went into the second event. I walked in and you're like, Georgie, how are you? And I was like, what? You actually remember who I am? I was like, I loved you before, but now I really love you. And so in following you, I'm just like, that's who you are. And I think, so for me, wanting to have this conversation, to be able to share this with people this is the kind of human that I think the world needs more of. It's the kind of human that, when I envision the perfect world, it's people who treat people like people that value people just because they're human. So I'm like ridiculously excited that you agreed to have this conversation with us today.
Well, thank you, Georgie and Patty. It's great to see you, and thank you for having me. And it's so cool to hang out with you here virtually, although pretty much everybody on the planet right now is working virtually, but and it's nice to be down the coast from you. Patty, you're close to Santa up there on the North Pole. and Georgie is in beautiful the Vancouver area, the greater Vancouver area, although I think you're in Coquitlam, right?
Coquitlam, yep, exactly.
And I'm on the northern Oregon coast, so we're all on the west coast, and I guess I'm the southern boy a little bit.
That's right, exactly.
So well, cool. It's so nice to see your smiling, pretty faces. It's great. And I apologize that I look kind of like a lumberjack, but this is the normal look actually on the Oregon coast, especially this time of year. So you got me here today in my flannel and my beanie and my scruffy beard, and here we go.
I love it. Because we're
home
all
office
about,
casual.
Exactly. And it's all about being authentic. Yeah. Right? So I think it's absolutely perfect. Okay. So I was going to say, I'm not that great at memorizing bios and things like that. So how about you tell our people a little bit about who you are and kind of what your background is before we dive into my crazy questioning.
Okay. And hey, people from the future that are watching this down the road. This is three people speaking from the past. So my name is Kevin Knebl, and I was born and raised in New Jersey, but often when you tell people you're from New Jersey, they think you're a city boy or Tony Soprano or Snooki. But no, I grew up in a part of New Jersey that's really cows and horses and streams and lakes. And a lot of people don't even know that Jersey has that, but Jersey has a lot of that. So when I was younger, I was actually a professional piano player in the New York City area. And that was a great way to make a living and a lot of fun. Then in the early 90s, through a chain of events, I got into sales, which would have been the last thing in the world I ever would have imagined. But life is funny. And I had some good mentors when I first got into sales who taught me that long-term success, really success in general, not necessarily in sales or even necessarily in business, but success in general, doesn't come down to your subject matter expertise in whatever it is you're good at. It comes down to your subject matter expertise combined with an ability to create sincere and authentic relationships with people. So I never studied sales skills so much. I kind of got a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, written by Dale Carnegie back in the 1930s. And I started studying emotional intelligence and relationship skills. And I went from never having sold a thing in my life, scared out of my mind, to not too many years later, I was the top salesperson for 4 different companies in 4 separate industries, including being the top salesperson in the world for an international consulting company, with over 300 salespeople in 15 countries. So I had a very successful sales career. And then in 2003, LinkedIn launched. And I was not then, nor am I now, a tech geek. There's no tape on my glasses. There's no pocket protector in my pocket. I'm really, people give me a lot of credit. They say like, oh, Kevin, you know, you're like this social media guy. And I'm like, no, I'm really not. I don't know how the transmission in my car works, but I can drive it. So I got on LinkedIn, ironically, 60 days after it launched. This is back in 2003. So a buddy of mine sent me an invitation. I opened it up. I said, oh, it's a Rolodex. It's an online business directory. This is going to be a very helpful tool in my sales efforts. And it was. And also right around that time, the people that I was selling to, which were typically small to mid-sized business owners, they started asking me, Kevin, would you come in and teach our people, our salespeople, how to sell like you do, and teach them how to use that LinkedIn thingy. And at first I said, well, I'm not a sales trainer. I said, when you say how to sell like I do, what do you mean? And they said, I never forget what the first guy, how he answered that question. He said, Kevin, you sell in a way that's not slick, salesy, awkward, or creepy. And I said, well, I'll take that as a compliment. I said, but I'm not a sales trainer. He said, but if you come in and talk to my people, I'll pay you. I said, oh, I guess I'm a sales trainer. So I started doing a little bit of speaking. Then by about 2009, it was getting pretty out of control in a good way. And I left my job. So my last day of work in a corporate job, not that I remember the date, but it was June 5th, 2009. Okay? So since that date, I have been kindly asked to speak in about one city per week all around the world with no marketing or advertising, which isn't an arrogant statement. It's validation of what I teach. So my world these days is a combination of standing on, well, prior to the Corona apocalypse, I was typically standing on about one stage per week somewhere on the planet. And then on the days that I'm home, I'm working with my private coaching clients. So now that pretty much all travel and speaking engagements and conferences have been put on hold for the foreseeable future, it's opened up more coaching availabilities for my coaching business. So I'm spending, while most people are not working, I'm working like a one-armed paper hanger. I am running like a maniac right now because I want to help people. So I'm sorry, that was probably a long answer to your question, but that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
No, I think it's perfect. Really, really, totally perfect. You covered all the points that I wanted you to cover, that I would have covered if I could have remembered them all. And I think you make such a valid point, particularly around sales, right? And I think if we look at this environment that we're in right now, I think it's even more important.
It is.
You know, because it's really, really is about people. You know? Yeah,
it's about creating sincere and authentic know, like, trust. All things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people who they know, like, and trust. I heard a man named Bob Berg say that in 1994. It really resonated with me. And I get every presentation I deliver, whether it's an hour or whether it's 2 days, I start every presentation by explaining to the audience that, you know, I heard a guy named Bob Berg, who's an international speaker, been doing it for a couple decades longer than me. But I heard him say in 1994, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust. In my simple mind, I said, well, if that's true, which of course it's true, it's as obvious as gravity. I said, if that's true, I actually took that sentence and I broke it into two sentences. All things being equal means you have a viable product or service that's fairly priced and needed in the marketplace. Simple. All things being equal. It was the second half of the sentence that blew my doors off, though. It was the people will do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust. So in my simple mind, I went, well, the all things being equal part, that just means I should know my product and service, and I should know the features and benefits, and I should know, you know, what the hell I'm doing. Well, shouldn't I spend much more of my mental whatever on figuring out how to really become more sincerely knowable, likable, and trustable? So when people ask me, you know, people say, Kevin, oh, you're a LinkedIn expert. And I know they mean it as a compliment. Yes, I know more about LinkedIn than most people, but it's only because I've been on it for so long. But if you were to ask me, Kevin, what do you really consider your expertise in? it's not even in sales. My expertise, I think, is really in know, like, trust, what I call the KLT factor. So I help people with things like social media, but what I'm really helping them with is know, like, trust, but in a sincere, authentic way, not in a manipulative, reverse psychology, evil genius kind of way, because people can see through that crap right away. It always just, and the irony is that it's just so simple when you think about it. Right. So I'm talking to you.
No, it's great. It's super great. I knew you would have incredibly relevant, valuable information. And I know you line up with what I believe. So, you know what I mean? It's really, really great. And you're doing it on a scale much bigger than we are, which is awesome. You know, I think it's incredible. And I love that you've been able to transition what would normally be a in-person kind of thing, right? Like you meet people, you talk to people, you have conversations with people in real life, and you've taken that model and you've just moved it quite easily over to this social media thing, right? Because people think it has to be two different things. Yeah. Oh my God, well, I know how to talk to people in real life, but how do I talk to people on social media? Because it's so different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's, a lot of my time is not really spent helping people learn new things. A lot of my time is actually spent helping people unlearn innocent behaviors that they do with good intentions, but that they don't realize are actually repelling the exact people they're trying to attract. And you nailed it, right? With what you just said right there, Georgie, that people innocently think, oh, now I'm on Facebook, so I have to be this way, and I'm at a cocktail party and I need to be this way, and now I'm on LinkedIn and I need to be this way. And I tell people, you know, there's a word for that. It's called schizophrenic. Okay? Because if you look at your dog doesn't care if it's inside or outside. It doesn't change its behavior when it goes outside. It's just the dog is comfortable with itself. It doesn't, matter of fact, it doesn't even think of itself. It's the dog isn't even thinking, how should I present myself? No, it's just being what it is. And we as humans, we tend to get messed up in our heads thinking, you know, well, I need to make sure that Georgie thinks that I think, that she thinks that I think, instead of just saying, hey, why don't we just be who we are? And if we kind of click, maybe that's the universe's way of letting us know we should do something together. If we don't click, no blood, no foul. It's okay. There's 7 billion other people out there, right? But we play these weird, you know, we innocently believe thoughts that aren't true.
Can you give us an example of one of those things that people do on LinkedIn around that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I can, Patty. Most, you know, LinkedIn has 700 million users, 2 to 5 new people per second. And most people's LinkedIn profiles look like very cold clinical resumes. Now, what's interesting to me, and sometimes I say this from stage, depending on how punchy I'm feeling or how much tequila I had the night before. I stand on stages and I say to every audience, is there anyone in the audience that would disagree with the statement, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust? I've never had anybody be stupid enough to say, yes, I disagree with that, because nobody's going to disagree with that. But then I look at them with a little twinkle in my eye and I go, you intellectually understand that statement, but you don't have enough experiential evidence to prove that you really do beyond intellectually. So here's where that ties into what you just asked me, Patty. Somebody will say to me, Kevin, yeah, I totally get the know, like, trust thing. And then I say, then you would also then by extension agree that we only have one chance to make a good first impression. And they say, yes. And then I say, then why does your LinkedIn profile suck? You know, if I want to shake them, I don't always tell people that their LinkedIn profile sucks. But then I go, well, let's look at your LinkedIn profile, because your LinkedIn profile does not convey to the viewer the value and the credibility that you're actually bringing to the table. You're shooting yourself in the foot, but you're not doing it knowingly. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says to themselves, how can I really deliver a bad first impression today, right? So they intellectually understand it, but they don't have the experiential results. So let me give you one other example. I get LinkedIn invitations every day, just like you probably do, right? 99% of them have no message whatsoever included with them. But that same person, if I ask them, would you agree with me that all things being equal, people, blah, 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 they go, yeah. And I go, then why do you send out these anonymous LinkedIn invitations? Actually, when I receive a LinkedIn invitation that has no message in it, the person really has sent me a message. Here's the message. Hey, schmuck, you weren't even worth 10 seconds for me to copy and paste 2 or 3 nice non-salesy sentences and change the first name. Now, I'm being a little harsh right here. I don't hate these people when they send me LinkedIn invitations. They don't know any better, right? It's not that I'm some enlightened Buddha. It's just that this is what I've been studying for decades, know, like, trust. So I try to the best of my ability, and I'm not perfect. I drop the ball. I just apologize when I do. I try, and this goes back to what Georgie said earlier, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, whether it's an email, whether it's coffee at a Starbucks, 2 cans in a string, smoke signals, whatever it is, I try to keep the KLT factor prominent in my mind. And especially now when you have something like LinkedIn, like right now we're looking at each other. So we have the benefit of eye contact, tone of voice, smile. Yeah. Somebody looks at your LinkedIn profile, they don't really have that. So again, it looks very clinical. One of the things, and then I'll shut up, that I often tell people to do is put a brief 60 or 90-second welcome video on your LinkedIn profile. So that when somebody opens your profile, they see, hi, my name's Kevin Knebl. Thanks for taking a minute out of your busy day to look at my LinkedIn profile. Let me share with you a little bit about what I do and how I help people and maybe how I could help you or somebody that you love. Blah, 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 blah. 60 seconds later, I say, all my contact information's up above. I'm always a phone call or an email away. God bless, go Seahawks, right? You know, or whatever I say. And now I'm a human. I'm not a cold, sterile LinkedIn profile. I'm a dude in a beanie with a beard. You know, I'm a real guy. So does that help answer it a little bit, Patty?
It's not me growling, it's the dog. Yes, very much so. And I'm starting to see why Georgie loves you so much. We're so on the same page. I see the same thing with website content, the exact same thing you're talking about, the cold and the clinical, and how do you make a connection with people? I always say your website is you online. It's like, you know, and it's just, even this advice you're giving us about LinkedIn, it's not about you push these buttons in this sequence and this is the button behind the hidden advanced feature that hooks this thing up to that thing and that's the secret. It's like, oh, be a human, have messages, connect with people.
Novel concept, yeah. Right? Yeah.
It seems that way sometimes.
But it's an innocent mistake that people make. Like people often come to me every day and they say, you know, help me use LinkedIn to grow my business. And I say, I will help you use LinkedIn, but more importantly, I'll help you increase your KLT factor, because if you study the transmission in your car, that's not going to make you a better driver, right? And if you start studying LinkedIn algorithms and all this other stuff, if you were Hannibal Lecter before you got LinkedIn, now you're just Hannibal Lecter on LinkedIn, right? So it always comes back to know, like, trust. She's put herself on mute because of the dog, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it always comes back to know, like, trust. No exceptions. That's one of the hardest things for most people to really wrap their head around. It's because you know what really confuses most people? Simplicity.
Yes.
Because we've been trained to believe that we live in a complex world. That's not necessarily true. We live in a pretty simple world. The way that we might think about it might be unnecessarily complex, but it's really pretty simple. And this goes back to the unlearning, right? It's that I think it would be just as helpful for people on a daily basis to not only learn something every day, but also to unlearn something that isn't serving them well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you should do like a challenge or something. I'm like, let's do an unlearn group. What am I going to unlearn today?
How much can we unlearn? And the more we unlearn, what becomes more prominent in our lives? Well, the answer would be love.
Exactly.
So, because it's really not about trying to find or discover love, it's removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence.
Exactly.
Love is there. It's just that we get distracted, like, you know, and remember the movie Up, you know, squirrel.
Oh, I love that movie.
we get distracted by so many things that really don't matter. And, you know, it'd be an interesting experiment at the end of the day to ask yourself every day, how much time today did I spend thinking or demonstrating love?
Exactly.
That might be an interesting, you know, challenge, right?
It would be.
Yeah.
Well, and I think because to do that too, you do come face to face with a lot of those beliefs and I can't do that. I can't say that. Like,
It's business.
it's
right?
business. Yeah.
This is a pushback I get from my clients, and maybe you can relate to this. I'd love to hear how you handle this, but I can't do that. I can't be authentic. I can't be me. I can't, I have to show a professional outside. I have to be seen in a certain way. And I'm not going to talk about love or be myself online, you know, especially on LinkedIn. Do you get that? How do you respond to that?
I kind of get it. And just to be clear, I'm not saying that everybody has to go out and be a love guru, right? I'm not saying that everybody has to go out and talk about love and peace all day long, right? But it's not about I have to be professional or I have to be goofy. It's, no, you have to be a well-rounded human being. You can be a professional and still be a compassionate human, right? It's not an either or, not a limited sum game. But to be a little bit more sharp in my answer, Patty, there's a reason why when I walk on stage and when I work with my private coaching clients, that I get buy-in early on, would you agree that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust? You see, once a person says that's true, then when they tell you, well, I have to be this way in business, then I would bring back to their attention, oh, you're saying that that statement was true, except for this situation. And what I'm really teaching people is how gravity works. Gravity only works one way. Every single time I take a pen and I drop it, it's going down. No exceptions. That's a principle. Principles are called principles because they don't change. Gravity doesn't care if you're fat, skinny, old, young, hairy, bald, male, female. Gravity doesn't care. The hardest thing for most people to wrap their head around is that the statement, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people I know, like, and trust, is the business equivalent of gravity. No exceptions. Because even though they intellectually understand it, subliminally, they still think there's exceptions. And part of what I'm helping them do is unlearn that belief. By the way, a belief is nothing more than an opinion. It's not a fact. If it was a fact, it wouldn't be called a belief. It'd be called a fact. You don't believe in gravity. You know that gravity exists. You might believe in Jesus. You might believe in Buddha. You might believe in pink pyramids, whatever you want to believe in. But most people have never really thought the thought, oh, these things that I have called beliefs are just opinions. They're not facts. So when somebody says that to you, Patty, you know, well, I got to be this way in business, say, okay, so then we need to re-alter the sentence to all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people unless they're in business. Is that what you're saying, Mr. You know? And then once they start seeing the silliness of it, and I usually have to knock them around a bit before they actually hear what I've been so clearly saying all along, right? I mean, you could have run around 1,000 years ago saying the earth is round, the earth is round, the earth is round, the earth is round, and people would have been like, no, it's flat. You know, but at a certain point, they might start to question the flatness of the earth and start look for evidence that actually maybe it is round. How come when they sail that way, they eventually come around that way? Well, maybe it's round, right? So what I do is I just look for evidence. I'm a simple man, right? When I heard all things being equal, people to do business with, blah, 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 I just said, okay, is there evidence that I see that would indicate that that's true? holy crap, yeah, like everywhere there's evidence, right? Then I started realizing, oh, most people operate their entire lives on beliefs that might not necessarily hold water. So I think one of the ways we help our clients, and like you help them with your coaching, right? Your entrepreneurs that you're helping to develop authentic businesses that are in alignment with their values and who they are. One of the ways we help people isn't so much my coaching is not additive, it's subtractive. Hey there, kitty. There's a kitty back there.
There's a kitty back there.
He's a superstar.
Hello.
Who is that?
That's Jackson.
Hey, Jackson. Jackson. So and he's like, no, I'm out of here. So
He's like, I'm going to the webcam right now, and I'm going to try to knock it off, and then I'm going to bite her feet and see if she can stay here without making a face.
I love it. So it goes back to the unlearning. What my coaching, most people's coaching is additive. Do this, do this, do this. Matter of fact, most coaches aren't even coaches. They're adult daycare, right? When I work with my clients, it's never like, I tell them up front, listen, if you think I'm going to be an accountability coach, I mean, no offense to the people that want to do that. I just would rather crawl over barbed wire naked, right? So I have no interest in checking up on you to see if you're doing the things that we've talked about. You know, you're a big boy, you're a big girl, do what you want to do. But what I've noticed over the years is that actually what I teach is a subtractive paradigm. And it's removing things, because it kind of goes back to what we said about love a few minutes ago. Love, there's no place that love isn't. The only thing is that we've innocently and unknowingly created barriers to the awareness of its presence. Well, once a person really deeply understands that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust. Once they deeply understand that, then the way that they actually show up in the world changes, but not in a strategic, manipulative way, in a relaxed, authentic way. And then all of a sudden the evidence, called business results, accompanies it. And it's really neat to see your clients wake up to that realization. It's like you see a light bulb go off and they realize, oh my God, you've been saying this all along, haven't you? You say, yeah, but that's okay. You need to hear it from 1,000 different angles before it finally, it's almost like, you ever see the movie The Sixth Sense?
Yes.
Remember at the end of The Sixth Sense when hey, spoiler alert, audience, if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense, you might not want to listen to the next 20 seconds. At the end of the movie, when Bruce Willis figures out that he's been dead the whole time.
Exactly.
And then you're like watching it like, oh my God, how did they trick me? I never saw it. I remember it when I first saw that movie the first time. I was like, oh my God, what a brilliant movie. And then all of a sudden, once you see it, you're like, oh yeah, there it was, there it was, there it was. I just didn't see it, right? And it's not that you're stupid. It's just that the way you were, the reason that we didn't know Bruce Willis was dead was because at a subliminal level, we had a belief, there's that word, we had a belief that he was alive. So our foundation was built on a faulty premise. And that's how most people build their businesses. It's a faulty premise called lack. I need to go get as much as I can, as fast as I can. Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. Those are beliefs. Those are not fact-based principles. So is this too deep?
No,
you just explained the toilet paper hoarding that's going on.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm also wondering.
I don't hoard toilet paper. I hoard wine.
Yeah.
It's good that you have your priorities straight.
It's all about priorities.
I know. I was so bummed because originally we talked about doing this conversation in person. I'm like, I'm making that 6-hour drive with the sand dunes and the wine. I'm on my way. And now I'm like, oh man, I'll have to wait, but I'm still coming.
Yeah, I
You
can't
keep
wait.
hoarding. You keep hoarding.
I can't wait. What were you saying, Patty?
I was just wondering if there could possibly be some kind of a belief going on with people that they can't show up authentically and be themselves because they are not knowable, likable, trustable on some level, that there's something about them that's not good enough, and that's why they put on what they perceive to be a professional cloak.
That's absolutely true. You nailed it. It's the way that we can help our clients the most. And this is going to sound woo-woo to some people, but deal with it. The way you can help your clients the most is to help them realize who and what they really are. Because the more they realize what they are, the more innocent behaviors that don't serve you at all will naturally just fall away. Right?
So true.
It's so when somebody comes to me, there's a couple things I know that more than likely they probably don't know. But it's not because I'm so smart or enlightened. It's because this has been my area of interest for decades and I've studied it. We tend to get good at what we study. We tend to, as it says in the good book, sucketh at what we don't study, right? So I've been studying the mind, thoughts, and things in that realm for a long time. You know, what people would consider spiritual or whatever. By the way, there's nothing that's not spiritual, but that's another conversation for another time, right? So, so when somebody comes to me, I know, yes, I can help them with LinkedIn. Yes, I can help them with their sales or their networking or whatever they need help with, but where I can deliver the greatest value to them is to help them deepen their understanding of what they really are. Because when that happens, so many other seeming problems will naturally self-correct, right? If you, Georgie, Patty, do you have kids?
No, I have animals.
You want to buy one?
No, thank you.
So all right. So I'm going to talk to Georgie for a second. Georgie, you have what do you have? Boys or girls?
2, one of each.
One of each. Okay. I have 3, one of each. Okay. So
Perfect.
so Georgie, when your son or your daughter were little, let's say, I don't know, a couple of years old, 3, 4 years old, I'm sure there was a time that either your son or your daughter, probably both, had a bad dream.
Yep.
And in the middle of the night, they probably came into your bedroom crying, and they were scared. They,
Yep.
you know, there was a monster under the bed, or there was a dragon outside, or something, and they were terrified. At that moment, that child believes, there's that word again, totally believes that that scary thing is real. And they have the evidence to show that they think it's real. They're crying, right? But you know something that child doesn't know. You know, oh, they had a bad dream. Now, when your little boy or girl, Georgie, came into your room crying, I doubt you said to them, listen, stupid, it was just a dream, go back to bed.
Exactly.
And you didn't get down and give them a 3-hour lecture on the non-existence of dragons. What you probably did was you said, oh, come here, honey, come sleep with us tonight, sleep here in the bed, you'll be safe. And then the child relaxed and sniffled a little bit and then fell asleep, right? So what you did there is you exhibited compassion, but you didn't do it as a strategy. You did it because it's a compassion in a normal, fully functioning, rational human being is a natural result of being exposed to suffering. You saw the child suffering, so you didn't go, well, how do I use this to my advantage? No, you just naturally were compassionate because you saw that the child was believing something that wasn't true.
Exactly.
Now, when your clients come to you and Patty, they have some beliefs that they don't even know they have. They have a belief called scarcity. They have a belief called I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
They have a belief I'm not worthy. It's never worked for me before. You know, there's a laundry list of these. But if you really look at all those, it's really just a fundamental flawed premise that they're anything other than a beautiful divine creation of God designed for greatness. And I'm not trying to preach. I have no interest in preaching, right? I know that the more I can help people realize what they are, whatever problems exist in their life will be much more easily overcome.
Exactly. I think this was literally part of one of the Facebook posts of yours that I read recently. And I'm like, it's so true. And I think this comes back to this unlearning thing. Because often we're taught that to almost go against that natural reaction of just come here and let me take care of you for a minute. And
people think the earth is flat, teach people that the earth is flat.
Right? But when people feel safe and cared for, then they can hear you, you know? And I've been in programs, you know, where it's like, no, you can't do that. You've got to afflict people. And I'm like, that's so against who I am. Like literally I could feel the visceral response of like, I can't do that, you know? And because the natural response for me, especially, is just like, come here and let me make you feel better, you know?
Yeah.
And it really is about that unlearning. And I'm going to share because I honestly, you truly do walk your talk, because like I went through a really rough patch over kind of the 6-month period. And when I was in it, I was like, I gotta call Kevin. I need some Kevinisms. Like I know he can help me because I am struggling because I couldn't write the beliefs that I was holding on to. I couldn't see beyond it. And it was harsh, you know? And I reached out to you and you're like, yep, let's get on a call, right? So instantly, and literally, you know, it was super, super helpful for me. And then it took me a little bit, and I would say it's probably only been maybe a couple weeks, but literally I had, like you mentioned in that post you were saying, literally it was like an awakening. And it was like just going back to, I got it now. Okay. And everything has shifted, you know, because I feel like I'm back to actually the natural state of me. So it's kind of like, you know, suffering brought me grace and pain awakened me, you know? And it was just, but literally as I'm going through it, I was like, who I know I need somebody. And I'm like, Kevin, I need Kevin. And I hadn't talked to you in forever, but you were there for me. So I think it's like, honestly, it's a real testament to the human that you are. You're not just saying these things. Like you are these things.
Well, thank you for saying that. A couple of quick comments on what you just said there. And thank you for your very kind words.
You're welcome.
When your entrepreneurs come to you for your coaching, I love how you said a few minutes ago, you know, you've been in programs, and I've been in programs too, where people have said, you know, do this. And you're like, I don't know, man, that doesn't sound right. But because they're maybe perceived as a guru or a thought leader, then you start doing the mental, well, do I have to be that way in order to succeed? Right? So what I find a lot of times with entrepreneurs is because, especially with new entrepreneurs, they don't, you know, this is all new to them. So they get bombarded with, oh, you need to create a 2 million person email list, and you need to do this, and they're like, okay, where do I start? How do I do it? And then like freaking out.
Exactly.
And one of the beautiful things that you and Patty do with your clients is you help ground them in what they are. But it's natural for a lot of new entrepreneurs to get totally freaked out because they're hearing so many different You need a YouTube channel, and you need this, and you need that, and you need a website that can smell colors, and you need, you need to have your branding perfect out. It's like, holy shit, what did I sign up for, right? And it's so nice to just take somebody by the hand and go, it's going to be okay. It's going to be totally okay.
Exactly.
Okay? Let's take it step by step don't get freaked out. You don't have to see every green light from New York to Los Angeles. Let's just make it to the next traffic light. And then let's make it to the next traffic light. And again, because we live in this fast-paced society, no, I need to have it all right now. No, you don't. This is a long game called life. The other thing, a comment I wanted to make, Georgie, is I don't remember exactly what you and I talked about in that conversation where you said that I helped you.
Yeah.
But I can assure you what I didn't talk about. I didn't give you strategies for coping. I didn't give you techniques for controlling your mind or your thoughts.
Nope.
It was probably just a safe listening that I provided with non-judgment.
Exactly.
And
some laughter, but yeah.
And some laughter. and that's good medicine.
It's the best medicine.
So yeah, I think that the more we can help people relax into what they are, so many seeming problems will naturally evaporate.
Oh, I totally agree.
I know for me personally, and I'm not perfect at this, I drop the ball, I just don't drop it nearly as fast as I used to drop it. I monitor my feelings, but not in a way that's like, some weird, every second, how am I feeling? No. But what I've gotten very, very good over the years, and I'll get better as time goes by, because I haven't arrived. I'm never going to arrive. But when I feel anything other than peaceful love and kindness, now we're about to get woo-woo here, folks, okay? So for those of you that don't like woo-woo, you might want to leave, okay? I don't believe, I know that the natural human state is peaceful, loving kindness. You can just look at babies and you can see that this is true.
Yeah.
Okay. Babies and old people. By the way, babies and old people have a lot in common, and it's not just the diapers. Okay. So when I feel anxiety, stress, pressure, anything other than peaceful loving kindness, it will always appear that that feeling is the result of some external situation. Oh crap, I just found out that I don't have enough money in my bank account. Now I'm stressed. Oh crap, she looked at me this way and that must mean she doesn't like me. It could be anything. Here's the challenge for most of us humans. We were not taught from a young age the simple principles behind how the mind works. And it's not complex. You don't need a degree in Freudian psychology. It's very simple. But because we weren't taught that, then our life becomes...
Oops, that's my dog. Hang on.
then our life becomes this roller coaster. Some days you're up, some days you're down. The way it looks more and more to me as the years go by is that anytime I notice that I'm not feeling peaceful, loving kindness, so you have to be at least aware of because the fish often doesn't know it's wet, right? You ever notice that when you're really mad about something, you're totally convinced that you're right? Nothing could be farther from the truth. The fact that you're really mad about it means that your mind is like doing tequila shots, okay? So anytime that I feel agitated, stressed, upset about anything, when I at least have the clarity of mind to recognize that, I immediately start asking myself a couple of simple questions like, Kevin, what are you? Who are you? Are you aware Are you truly aware, or are you running on just emotions that are going Mach 5, right? So anytime I feel anything other than peaceful love and kindness, it's a wake-up call for me to go, slow down, slow down. Because anything you're about to say or do right now, Kevin, is probably going to be the wrong thing. and you will live to regret it. Right? So if I have the clarity of mind, I literally just stop what I'm doing and then remind myself, what am I? Oh, I am love in seemingly human form. That's what I am, okay? I don't believe that. I have enough evidence to show that I am. So it's helpful for people to learn that anything other than peaceful love and kindness is nothing more than a forgetting of what you are.
Yeah.
Because if what you are is what you are, it's what you are under any circumstance. That doesn't mean that now you enjoy sitting in traffic. No, but you're not blaming your stress on the traffic, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you enjoy not having enough money, but not having a certain amount of money doesn't correlate. It doesn't, you can't, it is literally impossible for a human to explain to you how a certain amount of money in a bank account conveys into a feeling in a human body. It doesn't exist. It doesn't make sense. But we haven't been taught this from a young age. We've been taught, go take the hill and dominate like when I hear people use words in business that are violent, you know, dominate your market, crush your competitors, kill the competitors. I'm like, holy crap, man. Slow down, right? This isn't a violent game. This is about loving people. This is about helping people. How about instead of dominate the market, love the market? How about instead of crush your competition, love your competition? There's enough business for all of us. If you don't think there is, that's a belief, right? So the irony is that the world is backwards and upside down in so many ways. So many, literally backwards and upside down.
Yeah.
But once you start to see it, then you start to see it everywhere. And then, similar to your son or your daughter coming into your bedroom at 3 o'clock crying because they had a bad dream, then you go through life seeing most people having a bad dream. And then you start to gently tap them on the shoulder and say, it's going to be okay. It's not as bad as you think it is or you believe it is. That's really what I feel like my life has become a lot of, is just kind of helping people realize that the bad dream that they're having isn't real. Does that make sense?
Totally.
I don't know that I've ever said it that way before, but.
Well, and I think what a great perspective, because and especially I think now when people are, there are people suffering, there are people freaking out, there are people filled with panic, there's people in those situations locked in a house together. Yeah. If we could sort of take a step back and take that perspective and look at that person and be like, they're just having a really bad dream right now.
Yeah.
What can I do? Come on over. I got you.
Right.
Like literally it's just a kind of a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
And if we could remember that kind of every day when, the guy's yelling at me in traffic or, whatever. He's having a really bad dream right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
What it is it's pain.
Yeah, exactly.
You're observing people in pain. The pain manifests in many forms. Yeah. Right? It could be, just anger, racism. It could be all kinds of different things. But it all is rooted in pain.
Yeah. And
pain is rooted in a misunderstanding of what you are. That's what it is. It all comes back to that. Yeah. It's a fun time. You two are a lot of fun to speak with.
Thanks. I knew this would be a good conversation.
We should do this every week.
I know, planning on it. Who else wants to talk to us? Well, because I think it's like you say, it is so simple, and then often though when we're in the middle of it, you just can't see it,
Right. And that's when you have to monitor your feelings.
Yeah.
When you can't see it, more than likely you're feeling agitated. And the trick is to catch that quicker and quicker.
Yeah,
That's the trick.
exactly.
Because we all get triggered, you know, but the trick is to go, oh, I'm not feeling well. Why am I not feeling well? Because I'm believing that the traffic is causing my stress. No, what's causing your stress is your mind just accelerated to 500 miles an hour, and the mind isn't designed. So can I do a little thing with you both, a little experiential thing?
Of course.
Sure.
Take your right hand.
I'm like, yeah. Patty's like, oh shit.
Take your right hand.
Mind reading.
Grab your left wrist, not tight, just firm.
Like this
right?
way or this way?
It doesn't matter. Just grab your wrist.
Okay.
And in a second, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to twist your wrist until it hurts slightly. I don't want you to hurt yourself a lot. But the moment you feel pain, I want you to let go. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. Now, let me ask you a couple questions, but let me let you know that I never ask trick questions. These are not trick questions, okay? The reason I always preface it that way is because we tend to think that somebody's trying to trick us. No, I'm not trying to trick you. I'm trying to show you how simple this really is. So, Georgie, when you twisted your wrist, it started to hurt, right?
Yep.
Why did it start to hurt?
Oh, because I was twisting it too far?
Right, but why would the act of twisting it so far, why would that actually cause pain?
Because I want to say because I believe it will, but then I'm like, maybe because
Don't overthink it. Why would it hurt? Why would it hurt if you stepped on a nail?
because my nerves are telling me that it's painful, or like because it hurt. Like I stepped on it, yeah.
That's the correct answer. The reason why your wrist hurt is because your physical body has a human nervous system built into it. And thank God that we do have a nervous system. Because if you didn't, you could step on a nail, not even know it, get gangrene and die, right? So when you twisted your wrist, your body went, it wasn't designed to go this way, Georgie. And it triggered a nervous thing that went up to your brain. And however that happened, you felt pain. The pain was actually a blessing because the pain was letting you know something's going on with your wrist that it's not designed to do. So then you had enough clarity of mind that you let go of the wrist, right?
Yeah.
So humans come pre-wired at birth with a physical nervous system. Here's the thing that most people don't know. Humans also come at birth hardwired with a psychological nervous system. But people we're not taught this as kids. How is this practical, Kevin, and not some philosophy lesson? It is extremely practical because now what I'm saying is when you feel anything painful, I don't mean physical pain. Like if you punched me in the face, Georgie, yes, it would hurt. But that would be physical pain. Psychological pain, anxiety, stress, depression, whatever it is, that is the psychological equivalent of twisting the wrist. When you feel internal pain, that is the mind's wake-up call saying, you're believing something that's not true. Now, what I'm saying right now, there are people that are going to listen to this in the future and think he is a complete, total hippie, woo-woo guy. But there's other people that are going to go, holy shit, I've never been taught this before. And now this makes sense because now when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm feeling stressed, it doesn't mean that that there aren't external situations, but the internal pain is purely me believing an inaccurate thought. I cannot describe how deepening my understanding of this over the years has helped me so much, so much. I drop the ball, but I just pick it up faster.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying here is extremely radical to most people at first. But then I just say, prove me wrong. Let's look for the evidence. It was radical when somebody said the earth was round. But at a certain point, there was enough evidence they went, it's really stupid for us to hold on to this belief that it's flat. Because all the evidence that it's round is staring us in the face, right? Yes, I like loving people in my personal life. Yes, I like being friendly in my personal life, but in business, I got to be a bastard. No, I don't see a lot of evidence for that. You already told me you agree, all things being equal, people do business with and refer business people I know, like, and trust. Being a bastard doesn't lead to know, like, trust, right? So most people, they suffer purely because they don't understand the simplicity of how the mind works.
Yeah. And I guess too, it's like you're like, the lessons keep coming, right? Like it's layers and layers and layers. Because if I look at myself, I'm like, I thought I was doing pretty good, and then holy shit, I just got blasted. And it took me, like, honestly, it took me 6 months to work in it, because I'm like, I know this stuff, like I know it, like what the heck, like I live this, what is going on? And but it's true, right? It's a belief that I was holding on so tightly to, like so tightly.
Yeah.
And of what I thought things should be, and how, like, all kinds of things. And so it took me a while.
Well,
and
it does take a while.
Now though, I'm like, oh, now I get it, you know.
Well,
and it's like this different level, and how I show up now because of that is, it's like, I'm like sometimes, honestly, I feel like it's kind of even, it's like magical. And if you told me 6 months ago, I'd be like, shut the F up. This is not happening, you know? And so I think it's
a good thing to remember is that time plus pain equals humor.
Yes.
Now that can sound a little harsh.
Not really.
but that thing you went through,
yeah,
which while you were going through it was hell on earth.
Yeah.
Now you could see that in a way it actually was a blessing.
Totally.
This coronavirus thing. I'm not discounting, people are dying.
Yeah.
Right? I get it. There will be things that come from this that will be blessings.
Exactly.
There will be comics that make millions from it.
Oh yeah, they already are. Yeah. So we as humans tend to learn things two ways. And you just proved it, Georgie. And I touched on this an hour ago when we started. We initially understand things intellectually. And then if we're fortunate, we get to learn things experientially. So you had an intellectual understanding of how life should be and all that kind of stuff, but then you were thrown into an experiential situation. Georgie, you've had children. Prior to the birth of your first child, you had a total intellectual understanding of what childbirth was going to be like.
Yep.
But it was purely intellectual. Patty and I have an intellectual understanding of what childbirth could be like. I will always have an intellectual understanding because I don't have the equipment to have an experiential. Now Patty has the equipment.
I don't have the equipment, actually. And if I did, it would be expired.
That's fantastic. This is like stand-up. So, but the moment you gave birth, Georgie, all of that intellectual understanding just went to experiential.
Exactly.
And now when somebody talks to you about having a baby, you can talk about that. I can talk about having a baby from an intellectual perspective, but I can't talk about it from experiential.
Yeah.
So when people say to me, Kevin, you sound kind of woo-woo, I say, yeah, well, I would sound kind of woo-woo if I didn't have the results to back it up. Right?
Yeah.
So when people look at me and they're like, Kevin, you're telling me to be a little friendlier. And I go, yeah, but let's just think about it for a second. If I was telling you that and I was dead broke living under a bridge, I wouldn't have a lot of evidence that what I'm saying is true. But if I've had a 99% by invitation and referral business from the beginning, and I was the top salesperson for 4 companies, and I get paid $15,000 to $20,000 a day to stand on stages once a week, I think there's some evidence that maybe what I'm saying is accurate. Exactly. And that's the disconnect for most people. Even though the evidence is staring them in the face, they're still operating on a belief that they haven't questioned yet.
Yeah.
So really what I like helping people do is question their beliefs, but not in a antagonistic way. Because if a belief is solid, great, let's question it. But if it isn't solid, maybe knowing that would help.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So really, people are often scared to question beliefs because they have a belief about questioning beliefs.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
But in reality, what? Just think about that. In reality, but in reality, there's no fear in questioning beliefs. It would just be like, if this is true, great. If it's not true, it would be good to know that. So questioning beliefs is actually fun. It becomes fun. It's like, oh, I'm pissed at her. Wait a minute. What am I believing that would cause me to be pissed at her? Right?
Exactly.
I've forgotten what I am. I've forgotten what she is. We're two people dreaming a bad dream. One of us needs to wake up.
Exactly. And I love the simplicity of it, because there's so many things out there where it's like, okay, well, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What do you do? Like, where you can go through this whole process, which it's great. It's useful. And I love the simplicity where it's literally like, what am I believing? Oh, it looks like I forgot who I actually am. Okay. Like it can really be that simple. I'm going to put stickies all over my house. What do you believe in? What do you believe in, Jordy?
Are either of you familiar with Byron Katie?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So there's lots of ways to awaken to your true nature. You could study meditation. You could study, there's many pathways to God. Although a lot of people would tell you, no, there's only one. No, that's a belief. That's a belief.
That's a belief.
So there's many roads home. I've explored many of them. And the work of Byron Katie, I find, is one of the simplest. She asks 4 questions and then she does a turnaround. There are very few pathways home that I've encountered over the years that are as simple and as profoundly impacting as Byron Katie's.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful is that you go on YouTube and you can watch hundreds of hours of her and you would think it would be the most boring thing in the world because she just does the same thing over and over. It's always the same 4 questions. It's always a turnaround. That's gravity. It only works one way. It's a principle. So, for anybody listening to this that's not familiar with Byron Katie, go pick up a book called Loving What Is. Very simple book. She wrote it, 20, 25 years ago. It's one of the simplest ways to awaken to your true nature. There's more complex ways to do it. I tend to be a simple guy.
Yes.
The way it looks to me, Georgie and Patty, in any area of my life, spiritual, financial, relationships, health, whatever it is, the way it looks to me is complexity in any area of my life is nothing more than an indication that I'm probably looking in the wrong direction. I can't think of I can't think of anything in my life where complexity solved a problem. In every seeming problem I've had in this lifetime, any solutions have come from simplicity rather than complexity. That's a good catch. That's a good catch. So when I have a situation, and I have situations just like everybody does, and it looks like it's out of control, and it's so complex, if I have the clarity of mind, I go, wait a minute, Kev. You're looking in the wrong direction, man, because the answer can't be this complex. The answer, I must be missing something so simple. I don't need to expend so much brain or mind activity trying to add more complexity onto this. That's the ego, by the way.
Yes.
The ego wants you to keep piling on the complexity because that way you'll stay asleep to your true nature, right? That's what the ego drives on. What's the ego? The ego is a belief. It's a false belief. It doesn't really exist. It doesn't exist except in our belief. Most people believe there's something that they're not. And then they build a life around it. And then they wonder why they suffer. Because they're not really, they don't know what they are. once you realize what you are, which is love in seemingly human form, then so many beliefs just start dropping off, and you see them for the beliefs that they are. They're no longer laws that you live by. Now you realize, oh, Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. Right?
Exactly. It's so true. So what do you think then is I don't want to say easiest, but how do people get to that level where they can recognize it quicker?
Monitor your feelings.
Just over and over and over
Just
and
monitor
over
your feelings.
again. Yeah.
Just train yourself.
Practice.
It's practice.
Practice.
Doesn't it make sense that anything you want to get good at, you would practice?
Absolutely.
Why would this be any different, right?
Exactly.
So if you want to have peace of mind, which really is what everybody wants.
Exactly.
Although they think, oh, I need the big house. That'll make me happy. And I'm not denying that a big house is nice, but a big house isn't going to make you happy. Because if that was true, it would be true for everybody.
Yeah.
We see people in big houses that do commit suicide, right? So, oh, I need more money. Then I'll be happy. I'm not denying that having a lot of money isn't a fun thing. But if you believe that money's going to make you happy, then that would say that anybody with a lot of money doesn't have any crap in their life or doesn't commit suicide. Sure, they do all the time, right? So we innocently believe that happiness and peace of mind is a doing and not a being, right? It's kind of a cliche. We've all heard about the human doing versus the human being.
Yeah.
For me, monitoring my feelings and just becoming more cognizant when I'm not feeling peaceful, that has been a very, very good path to exploring my true nature. I can only speak for me, right?
Yeah.
But that's a simple path.
Exactly.
It's simple. You don't have to go buy anything.
No.
You don't have to go sit in a corner and meditate for 6 hours.
Yeah.
You just need to live your life and then notice, oh shit, I feel pissed. Why do I feel pissed? I feel like it's because of what he did. No, it's because of your mind's accelerated. And you need to see most things that people do to try to get peace. The mind is like a snow globe. We're taught things like affirmations. We're taught things like meditate. And I'm not putting down meditation, but there's a lot of people that meditate and it doesn't help them at all, right? Most of what people do to try to still the sand in the snow globe is actually shaking the snow globe harder. But they don't realize it. They're innocently shaking it harder. Oh, you need a 6-step program to do it. It's like, if you think about it, there's only one way to make the sand in the snow globe settle. And by the way, settled sand is its natural state. The only way to do it is to put it down.
Yeah.
But you first have to realize you're shaking it, right?
Exactly.
And then once you put it down, it will naturally, there's never been a feeling that a human being has ever had that lasted forever. They come and they go. They're like clouds in the sky.
Yeah.
Right? So by observing our feelings, it's like observing clouds. Like, oh, I feel like I'm the sky. No. I mean, no, I feel like I'm that dark cloud. No, you're the sky. You're the sky that the clouds come in and out of. But because it seems so real, because the mind is so powerful, that anything you will believe is real, right?
Yeah.
Here's another radical concept. There's nothing you've ever done in your entire life that you didn't think was the right thing to do in the moment. Exactly. Even when you say, well, I knew it was wrong, but I did it. At a deeper level, you thought it was right.
Exactly.
And the evidence is that you did it. So this creates more compassion because you realize, oh my God, they're all sleepwalking.
Exactly.
They're all sleepwalking. Do I condone violent behavior? No. But I realize that the violent behavior that somebody's exhibiting really isn't them. It's them believing something that's not true.
Exactly.
How does somebody walk into a school and shoot kids? I'm not condoning that, but the person is in so much pain because they're innocently believing these horrible thoughts that they did what they thought was right. And then it produced massive suffering for other people, right?
Exactly.
So monitoring our thoughts and monitoring our beliefs without getting weird about it is a really good life skill.
Yeah, and it's simple. Like I say, it's simple. It's just, it takes practice. And, you know, we talk about this a lot with, we were talking about this the other day, actually, we're in business, right? You know, talking to people, sharing what you do with people, it takes practice. And often we're led to believe that, you just, you know, put your website online, people will come to you, you're rich. Yeah, no, right? You have to practice, and it's that willingness to commit to the practice, right? And I think that's such a big, big piece. And
the fact that a person would look for a shortcut in anything, hear this clearly, folks. The fact that a person would look for a shortcut in anything is the evidence that they don't understand how life works. Think about it. Life works very simply and very naturally. You plant things, it takes time for it to grow, right? Georgie, you didn't get to be 5, how tall are you?
5'5.5".
And a half. You didn't get to 5'5.5" in the first 3 years of your life, right?
Exactly.
So we're surrounded with the evidence of how life works, and we don't even see it. We're oblivious to it. Why would it work any different for an entrepreneur starting a business? You're going to have to plant some seeds. And yes, I know you want it to grow tomorrow, but that's not how life works, right? Let's keep planting seeds. And those seeds will grow. We'll go plant some other ones while those are growing, right?
Exactly.
I mean, all the lessons to succeed in life are just, we're surrounded by them. But we innocently believe, there it is again.
There it is.
But it's different in business. No, it's not. It's not. When you got married, Patty, what's your husband's name?
Joe.
Joe? That's my middle name, okay? So I'll remember that. So when you first met Joe, you were probably attracted to Joe, and Joe was probably attracted to you. But you didn't grab each other and start kissing in the first 10 seconds. But then you look at what people do in business. Let me identify my product, my prospect, and let me jump on them like a pit bull on a mailman, right? And I'm going to start trying to seduce them with my elevator pitch, and I'm going to hit them with my marketing. And they're like, whoa, slow down. In your personal life, if you walked up to a stranger and tried to kiss them, you'd get smacked. Well, you get smacked all day long in business too. And people say, what do you mean, Kev? I say, if you have phone calls that go unreturned, if you have emails that go into a black hole, and you have prospects that join the witness relocation program, that's not an accident. That is evidence of the fact that you are probably trying to kiss on the first date. And most people in business not only kiss on the first date, they use tongue, right?
Exactly.
And why am I struggling in business? Because what you're doing is highly unnatural. If there's 2 ways to do something, one's complex and unnatural, and one's simple and natural. I'm taking the simple, natural one. This is not rocket science, folks.
Oh, no. But it takes too long.
That's because you believe there's a shortcut.
No, it's because there's all people standing up on stage saying that you can grow your business to $1 million in 6 weeks.
Most of those people are lying.
Exactly.
You're never going to hear me stand on a stage and say to somebody, flip a switch and you're going to be, money's going to fall out of the sky. That's insane.
Exactly.
It's insane, but people buy it.
They buy it because they don't understand how life works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the more you can help somebody understand what they are and how life works, 99% of their seeming problems will vanish.
So
because
true.
They were all built on a house of lies anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true. I'm noticing the time. And I want to be respectful of that and keep talking to you forever. So until we do this again. But thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this. And I know it's going to be useful for people because I do this because it's also useful for me, you know, and I get to talk to amazing, incredible, awesome human beings and share those human beings with the people that are in my world, which is awesome. So, and I just, you know, I love it, right? It's just be simple. Remember who you are. Check. Easy. No
and then when you forget who you are, remember
call Kevin.
Remember somebody who seems to remember it more often and call them.
Exactly.
Right.
It's so true. So
And don't be a pit bull on a mailman.
Don't be a pit bull on a mailman. Keep your tongue in your mouth.
Not sleeping on the first date.
That's right.
Unless you have the evidence to show that it works. I'm a simple man. If you're gonna kiss on the first date, show me the evidence that it works without you getting a disease.
Exactly.
Okay. If it works, if you're attacking your prospects and it's working, more power to you. But I doubt it's working.
Exactly. So how can people find you, follow you, connect with you aside from all over the place?
They can't. I'm in the witness relocation program.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you from a bunker and under, you know.
A bunker in Oregon.
On the coast.
So I'm thank you for asking, Georgie. I'm very easy to find. My last name is a little confusing. It's Knebl, but it's 5 letters, Knebl. May I please buy another vowel? So people often will go look up, you know, they'll spell my name wrong. But if you type my name into Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, you'll find me. If you want to connect with me, I'm happy to connect with you. If I can help in any way, I will. Please feel free to send me a LinkedIn invitation. Mention that you heard me on this program. Follow me on Facebook, or connect with me on Twitter. I'm a pretty friendly guy.
Yes.
So I'm easy to find, and if you don't want to find me, I hope you've enjoyed this interview. But I don't believe in accidents. I don't believe in accidents. Things happen the way they're supposed to happen. So Georgie, you and I intersected paths in life, however we intersected paths in life, but that was supposed to happen.
Yeah. Right?
There's 7 billion humans on Earth. The likelihood of you and I actually meeting was 7 billion to 1. But we met. That doesn't mean we have to become soulmates and go skipping through fields of daisies together.
Can we?
But we could. But the fact that we actually cross paths, maybe that's just an indication that we should love each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So whoever's watching this, you're watching it for a reason. It's not an accident. Hopefully there was a couple nuggets, So there's no accidents, folks. You weren't designed and given life on a whim. You were designed to exhibit love, exhibit what you are. Now, the way you might do that might be different than the way Patty does it, or I do it, or Georgie does it. But if you come from a place of love, your life's just going to work a lot better. Yeah.
So true.
Thank you so much for having me. I have so enjoyed this. Patty, it's great to see you up there in the North Pole. Watch out for the polar bears. And hopefully we can all, so all the socials, kevinknebl.com, whatever. And I love you both. I'm so happy to talk with you. I hope we get to do this again sometime.
Me too.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yes, I love you with everything I got. So keep doing what you're doing.
What Georgie said.
Yeah.